week 4 of the trial against Sean Diddy Combs, the defense.
The fourth week of Sean Diddy Combs' trial had begun, and no one could have predicted what June 4, 2025 would bring. It started as an ordinary morning, the kind with soft sunlight and the hum of city life. But that peace shattered in an instant. Across every screen, every feed, every station, one name surged like a virus: Diddy. Not for music, not for wealth. This time it was all collapse, an unraveling so massive it stunned the world. His escape plan, faking a heart attack, was clever, but not clever enough. FBI agent John Kelly caught it, shut it down, and within hours the story exploded. Headlines screamed betrayal. Talk shows roared. The courtroom itself became a circus. And then, the next morning, it got worse. He turned on his own lawyer, Tenny Garagos, the same man who'd once promised to save him. Inside the courtroom, in front of everyone, Diddy lunged at him like an animal, snarling, fists flying, screaming, "I'm going to kill you," again and again, until the guards dragged him back. The video went viral before the blood had dried on the floor. Deep beneath Brooklyn's Federal Detention Center, in a cell buried under concrete and silence, Diddy lay on a metal bed staring at the ceiling, motionless, trapped in memory. He imagined St. Bart's, the yacht, the golden light, laughter drifting off the ocean, women, wealth, the smell of grilled wagyu and wine, all of it unreachable now, just flickers behind closed eyelids. His beard was thick, his hair wild, his orange uniform hanging like dead weight. At night he didn't sleep. He just remembered stages, award shows, the roar of millions, and he felt it, a hatred eating through him slowly for the media, the backstabbers himself. Then came footsteps, the sharp rhythm of polished shoes against concrete. A guard opened the door. Behind him, Tenny Garagos stepped in. They hadn't spoken since the attack. Tenny sat without a word, opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick file. Diddy barely looked up, his voice a rasp from too many sleepless nights. "What now?" Tenny didn't flinch. "This is your last chance." Diddy laughed. "But it was hollow. They want me dead in here. I saw it this morning, in their faces." But Tenny was already pulling pages from the file, old medical records, scribbled notes on anxiety, past prescriptions, and one single sheet of paper, the name of the prison hospital with the secure ward for medical transfers. "Collapse," Tenny said, pointing to a page. "Not fake, just push your body until they believe it. They'll move you and we'll be waiting 2 minutes. That's all we need." Diddy stared at the page, then at the wall, then nowhere. It was insane, desperate. It was also a way out. "And if I fail," he whispered, "then you're already dead," Tenny said. Quiet, final. They sat in silence. The only sound was the buzzing fluorescent light overhead. Then finally Diddy looked up. His eyes were no longer full of fire. They were full of ashes. "I've never been afraid to gamble," he said. "But this time, if I lose, I'm really gone." Tenny stood, adjusting his cuffs. Already halfway to the door. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m. be ready," and then he was gone. Diddy sat alone again. The minutes dragged like chains. He closed his eyes and tried to hear the music again, but it was gone, just silence, and the sound of his heartbeat. Waiting. Parties and the flashing strobe lights of fame. "All right, Tenny," he said. "Let's do it. Let them see Sean Combs doesn't go down easy. I'll take it all back." 12 The unexpected heart attack from prison to hospitality. June 7, 2025. Dawn sliced through the Brooklyn skyline like a cold razor, its light filtering into the special holding cell where Diddy sat, pale and tight-jawed. He wasn't a legend anymore. Not a mogul. Not a star. Just a man about to bet everything, his name, his life, on one desperate move. The night before, Tenny had called. No small talk, no drama, just a final directive. "Remember, Sean," his voice like a funeral bell. "10 a.m. sharp. Everything's in place, you just need to deliver." Diddy didn't sleep. Not from fear, he knew, fear to well, but from the relentless buzz of adrenaline and the memories screaming through his mind. He practiced in the bathroom mirror like a man rehearsing for life itself. How to stagger, how to gasp, how to crumple without faking it. This wasn't for awards or applause. This was survival. At exactly 10 a.m., the digital clock blinked. Time. He rose slowly. 1 breath, 2. Then his hand gripped his chest, like the muscle inside had turned to glass and shattered. He collapsed and smashing the floor, his tray flying across the cell, crashing against the wall with a clang like a dropped weapon. His face twisted in agony, lips parted, eyes rolled back. "My heart, my heart, he groaned, words leaking out like blood. One hand scraped the bars, nails splitting. His breath came shallow, fast, shoulders trembling violently. Sweat poured down his forehead, not pretend sweat, real panic sweat. His pulse felt like thunder. A guard walked by, paused, stared. Something about the silence, the stillness, the bluish tinge in Diddy's lips made the hairs rise on the back of his neck. Within seconds, the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. Chaos erupted. The bait was taken. In the marble hallway of the Manhattan courthouse, Tenny Garagos leaned coolly against a column, suit sharp, shoes polished. When his phone lit up caller ID, Brooklyn detention, he didn't flinch, didn't smile either, just a slow curl of satisfaction. "Transfer him to Manhattan General," he said. Doctors in place, teams ready, no delays. The ambulance ripped through traffic. Inside, Diddy lay like a corpse, ashen face, limp arms, silent. His gown hung off him. There were no cuffs, just the paramedics, thinking they were transporting a dying man. They didn't see him blink, didn't see the tear that slid down his cheek. Perfect dot at the hospital entrance. Dr. Marcus Hale waited, fake credentials, flawless file. He looked real because everything about him was forged months in advance. As the ambulance doors opened, he took over immediately. No questions, no delays. A skeptical guard asked for a transfer order. Garagos had expected that too. A call came through. Official number, internal investigation, top security. No one argued. In less than 2 minutes, Diddy was wheeled into room for billion. Isolated, cold, dark, a paper sign on the door. Surveillance under maintenance. Cameras cut at 4 a.m. Dr. Hale gave the signal. From a supply closet, another man emerged, masked, scrubs, gloves, a ghost in medical disguise. In 90 seconds, they switched everything. Breathing tubes out, scrubs on, forged badge clipped. Diddy disappeared beneath a gray blanket. At 10:29 a.m., the door opened. They rolled the stretcher out. A patient like any other. Silent still. The guard nodded. No alarms, no suspicion. If this guy survives, it's a miracle, one muttered. No. One laughed. But then something happened. 3. Unmasking the deception under the brutal flood of hospital lights. All eyes turned as the stretcher rolled forward. Diddy didn't move. Didn't flinch. Until the SUV arrived. It slid into the emergency lane, like a shadow, black, silent, smooth. The door opened. A man stepped out, tall, calm, presence carved from steel. He didn't speak, didn't have to. His gaze alone sent a chill across the asphalt. The man's eyes locked on the stretcher. And in that moment, Diddy felt it. Something was wrong. Instant. John Kelly stood tall in a tailored black suit, silver hair slicked back like a blade drawn for war, eyes sharp and cold as molten steel. The rhythmic click of his leather shoes on the hospital floor echoed like a judge's gavel, deliberate, final, undeniable. In the world of federal enforcement, Kelly wasn't just a name. He was a force, a relentless predator who never blinked. The man who tore apart 2 of the biggest money laundering networks on the East Coast. And now he was here, not to watch, to end it. On the stretcher, Diddy lay still, mimicking the final flutters of a heart in collapse. His body twitched faintly, his face scrunched in strained agony, but he could feel Kelly's presence long before he saw him. Each footstep coming closer felt like the nail driven into the coffin of freedom. Deceit to Kelly wasn't something complicated. It was paper-thin, scentless, tasteless, invisible to most, but not to him. He had seen 100 cons and crushed every one. Diddy dared a tiny peek, just enough to steal a glance. Too late. Kelly's eyes locked onto his, unblinking. In that instant, fear, real, unfiltered fear, spread through Diddy like poison. He had faced cops, outwitted prosecutors, played the press like a flute, but he had never gone head with John Kelly. Now he wished he never had. Without ceremony, Kelly pulled a folded document from inside his jacket and raised it high. His voice was a blade. Sean Combs is to be immediately transferred to a federal medical facility under court order. All personnel, medical security, and legal are to remain in place until full identity verification and medical review is complete. The room froze. Time cracked. Dr. Hale, still pushing the stretcher, halted mid-step. Every soul in the hallway stood still. Then, like a ghost wave, Kelly's tactical team moved, silent, exact, merciless. Within 30 seconds, the exits were locked, the stairwells sealed, the entire blueprint of escape shattered like cheap glass. At the end of the corridor, Tenny Giragos appeared, the once unshakable verdict whisperer now visibly shaken. His steps faltered, his face pale, eyes wide as they met Kelly's. "You don't have authority to override an emergency protocol," he barked, voice cracking. "My client is in critical condition. He needs immediate care." Kelly didn't blink. He stepped closer to the stretcher, pulled a heart monitor from his inner pocket, and clipped it to Diddy's wrist. A soft beep. He checked the screen. Heart rate steady. Blood pressure normal. No sign of cardiac arrest. No respiratory distress. Diddy held his breath just a moment too long, and that was the giveaway. Kelly leaned down, whispered into his ear, "Good performance, but you picked the wrong stage, Sean." And for the first time in days, Diddy shut his eyes, not to fake death, but to escape the reality unraveling in front of him. Every dollar, every detail, every deception vaporized. The curtain had fallen. Kelly straightened. Cuff him, transfer him to MDC. No more performances. Rage surged through Diddy like fire in his veins. "Let me go. You can't do this to me," he shrieked, thrashing on the stretcher like a man possessed. Fists clenched, voice raw. He fought the straps, the guards, the truth. Medical staff struggled to restrain him as his screams rang through the sterile corridors. Outside, sirens howled, the approaching tactical vans sounding like iron nails, sealing the coffin shut. Gyaragos didn't move. He stood still, jaw clenched, eyes closed as the reality sank in. It was over. Not because the plan was flawed, but because the man at the center of it had cracked. His masterpiece of manipulation had turned into a warning tale. And now, alongside charges of sex trafficking and extortion, Diddy was facing something darker: conspiracy to escape federal custody for attacking his own lawyer in court. June 8, 2025. One day, Lattice Horn Diddy Combs shuffled into courtroom 9 of the Manhattan federal courthouse, dressed in a prison-issued gray jumpsuit that hung awkwardly on his thinner frame. He was a shell, a faded photocopy of a man once wrapped in diamonds and designer threads. The courtroom was cold. He was colder, slumped in his seat, face rigid, staring at nothing. The media had filled the rows early. Cameras zoomed in, thirsting for tears, rage, any flicker of humanity to spin into a headline. Outside, the world already knew. The failed heart attack escape had gone viral. Clips of his collapse had hit TikTok everywhere. The hashtags were endless. The mockery brutal. He, who had wanted to disappear. Now he was infamous again, but not as a mogul, not as a legend, as a cautionary tale. CNN, Fox News, and even local noon broadcasts were ablaze with the headline, "The Hollywood Heart Attack." Clips of Diddy's collapse had gone viral, mocked with edits, remixes, and voiceovers, but none of that mattered to him now. He wasn't thinking about TikTok headlines or memes. He was thinking about betrayal. And the man sitting right beside him, attorney Tenny Garagos, leaned in with lawyerly calm and whispered, "Sean, we need to address the new charge immediately. I'll request the court to consider it a misunderstanding, a medical emergency triggered by extreme stress." But Diddy exploded. "A misunderstanding," he roared, voice echoing off the courtroom walls. The room jolted to silence. Some in the gallery flinched. He slammed his cuffed hands onto the table, eyes burning like gasoline set alight. "You set me up." His voice cracked like thunder. "That whole heart attack act was a setup. You promised me a way out, then buried me with your own hands." Garagos recoiled, trying to hold his composure. "It was a legal strategy," he stammered. "A bold move that backfired. Sean, please." But Diddy wasn't hearing any of it. His voice dropped to a growl, his finger trembling as he pointed at prosecutor Emily Johnson, then slowly across the silent jury box. "They're all laughing at me," he snarled. "This isn't just failure. This is humiliation. You made me a joke." Before Garagos could respond, Diddy stood, fast. The defendant's chair clattered behind him, then he lunged. Handcuffed fists became blunt weapons, shoulders driving like battering rams. The courtroom exploded. A gasp rippled through the gallery. A camera dropped with a thud. A security guard reached instinctively for his belt. Diddy slammed into Garagos, knocking him backward into the table. But he didn't stop. It was as if every betrayal, every humiliation, every fall from grace came crashing down in that single moment. "I lost everything because of you," he screamed. "You were my lawyer, the only one I trusted." One handcuff hooked onto Garagos' collar, jerking him down as Diddy tried to slam his face into the table. Metal scraped wood in a harsh, violent clang. Garagos went pale, stunned, and frozen, barely able to resist. Then came the final explosion. Diddy's voice, raw and cracking. "It was you. You're behind it all. My empire, my legacy, gone, and you just watched it burn." His whole body shook. His eyes blazed with pain and vengeance. Judge Arun Subramanian pounded his gavel. "This hearing is adjourned. The defendant is out of control." But Diddy was gone, mentally, emotionally. His face twisted in fury, flushed red, as he screamed again, voice breaking into something closer to a sob. "You don't understand. They're all in on it. And the people I trusted, they've joined them now." Two marshals surged forward. They grabbed him, wrestled him down. A scuffle broke out. A punch was thrown. It wasn't clear who threw it, and Diddy dropped to his knees. But even there, he fought. "I'd rather die in prison than be your clown in this damn circus." There was nothing left of the smooth-talking mogul, only a man, broken and betrayed, screaming through clenched teeth. As he thrashed, they pinned him to the ground. His eyes locked on Garagos, wild with rage. "I'll be back. Don't let me out if I survive." His final words were muffled as officers clamped an emergency mask over his mouth. The courtroom air grew still. All that remained was the sound of shackles, scraping against the floor, and heavy boots dragging him out. A beast, sedated, not tamed. His screams still echoed faintly as the doors closed, and for a moment, the room stayed frozen. Jurors whispering, reporters stunned, even the judge momentarily silent. This wasn't a courtroom drama anymore. It was a public implosion. Earlier that week, Diddy had refused the plea deal. Now, after the failed escape and courtroom assault, the stakes had grown exponentially. If convicted, he faced a minimum of 15 years, possibly life in prison. A brutal fall for a man once wrapped in diamonds, flying private jets, living like a king. Now, he was just a defendant, stripped, handcuffed, finished. Chapter 5. Diddy, at a disadvantage. Sean Diddy Combs, once the face of Bad Boy Records, the man who shaped a generation of hip-hop culture, was unraveling in real time. The official trial began on May 5, 2025, as public outrage boiled. On May 13 and 14, Cassie Ventura appeared in federal court. Her testimony ignited the courtroom like gasoline to flame. With unwavering voice, she spoke of years of abuse, psychological, physical, and sexual. She testified that Diddy coerced her into drug use, manipulated her into attending sex parties, and secretly filmed her for control and blackmail. She described panic attacks, years of captivity, and trauma masked under designer clothes and celebrity glamour. She confirmed the authenticity of a 2016 video showing Diddy assaulting her in a hotel hallway. At the time, she had been pregnant and too afraid to resist. Her account painted a picture of a world behind the velvet ropes, soaked in silence and fear. And then came the bombshell. Cassie named other celebrities, including Britney Spears, who she alleged had once been present at a birthday party in 2007 that escalated into one of Diddy's infamous events. The courtroom fell into shock. The jury, once neutral, now hung on her every word. The media lit up. Cassie's voice wasn't just testimony, it was a reckoning. And it left Diddy with almost nowhere to run. His empire had already crumbled. Now his defense was collapsing too, and the trial wasn't even halfway done. While Kid Cudi, who once had a brief romantic relationship with Cassie, was reportedly threatened by Diddy and had his property damaged in a fit of jealousy, the courtroom revelations only grew more shocking. These accounts didn't just ripple through the media, they rocked the entire entertainment industry. Diddy's defense attorney, Brian Steele, denied allegations of coercion, arguing that the messages exchanged were consensual. But the witness remained firm. Her actions had never stemmed from consent, only from relentless fear. Another key witness, Mia Diddy's former personal assistant, confirmed an incident of assault following a private party, adding further weight to the chilling image of the man once celebrated as a music mogul. Then came the testimony of Brianna Bangalan, a close friend of Cassie. On June 4, 2025, she recounted a horrifying incident from 2016, in which Diddy allegedly dangled her off the 17th floor balcony during an argument. She also witnessed him hurl a knife at Cassie. According to Bangalan, Diddy didn't try to hide his violent outbursts. He even boasted, "I am the devil, and I can kill you." With each revelation, the atmosphere in the courtroom grew more suffocating. On June 3rd, Mia completed her intense 3-day testimony. She described working for Diddy as living in a psychological war zone, where fear, verbal abuse, and threats of violence were constant. She recalled one terrifying moment when she and associate Deontay Nash had to physically intervene to stop Diddy from attacking Cassie, fearing he might kill her. Arrested in September 2024 and denied bail, Diddy is now facing a slew of charges: extortion, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and multiple counts of abuse against women. Prosecutor Emily Johnson painted Diddy as a calculated predator, man who built a manipulative empire on secrecy, fear, and control. She argued that the outcome of this trial may not only end his career but also cost him his freedom for the rest of his life. Back in March 2024, the FBI raided Diddy's properties in Miami and Los Angeles, seizing over 1,000 bottles of baby oil, various lubricants, illegal drugs, and 3 AR-15 rifles. According to court filings, these items were used during so-called freak-off parties, where victims were allegedly coerced into sex acts with male escorts under Diddy's direction. The defense tried to discredit Mia by citing old emotional social media posts she had made about Diddy, but Mia testified that the posts were part of a carefully constructed public image, something she was pressured to maintain, and a coping mechanism for the deep psychological strain she endured. She insisted the man the world saw was not the real Diddy. Behind the glitz and glamour was a much darker figure. The trial has not only focused on Diddy's personal conduct, but also revealed the astonishing level of influence he once held in the entertainment industry. During the testimonies, names like Michael B. Jordan, Kanye West, Usher, and Jay-Z were mentioned, some as supporters, others as possible witnesses to his darker behavior. The defense pushed back, arguing that Diddy's behavior, while excessive, did not meet the legal definitions of extortion or trafficking, but was rather the result of a flawed celebrity lifestyle. But the public has made up its mind. In May 2024, a security video was leaked showing Diddy assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway. It went viral instantly and sparked massive outrage. The hashtag cancel Diddy trended worldwide. As the trial continues, expected to wrap up by early July 2025, the world watches with bated breath, hoping for justice to prevail and for the survivors to finally find closure. Cassie Ventura, the central witness in this sprawling case, has since found peace. She now lives a quiet, happy life with her husband, Alex Fine, and their daughters, Frankie and Sunny. After years of pain, silence, and manipulation, Cassie has become a symbol of strength and resilience. Her courage to speak out is helping expose an empire built on fear. Chapter 6: The Power Behind Hollywood's Manipulation. The emotional testimonies in court often left the gallery in tears. But beyond the legal drama, something darker began to stir. Whispers of a larger conspiracy started circulating online. Was Diddy merely a rogue figure, or was he part of something much bigger? Sinister power structure hiding behind the glitz of Hollywood. Since 2023, a series of leaked documents and testimonies have exposed the inner workings of alleged freak-off parties. These were described as decadent, depraved gatherings where extreme behavior, designer drugs, and manipulation were not just tolerated, they were orchestrated. And Diddy, he was named as the organizer, the broker, the man who made the calls. But some believe that even Diddy wasn't in charge. A deep theory is gaining traction, that Diddy wasn't the king, he was just the pawn, the bait, a distraction to shield a much larger machine. According to a whistleblower claiming ties to the FBI, Diddy isn't the big fish, he's the bait. The real monsters are still out there in boardrooms, at award galas, and on political donor lists. Famous names like Jay-Z, Kanye West, Usher, Naomi Campbell, and Leonardo DiCaprio have all been pulled into the orbit of this growing narrative, accused either of direct involvement or of turning a blind eye. Anonymous employees from luxury hotels in Miami, Beverly Hills, and New York say they were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements on Diddy's just to serve drinks or clean up after these parties described as hellish and otherworldly. And now, the public is connecting dots that once seemed like isolated tragedies. The sudden death of Aaron Carter, Britney Spears' mental breakdown, Kanye West's cryptic rants about puppet masters in the industry. What if these weren't random? What if they were pieces of a puzzle, glimpse into a darker reality hidden beneath red carpets and platinum records? For now, Diddy is on trial. But some fear the true story is still hidden, waiting in the shadows, and the iceberg runs far deeper than anyone ever imagined. Royalty, some say, may not be the ruler but merely the messenger, a glorified delivery man, a fee collector, or worse, a sacrificial scapegoat. As more voices come forward, disturbing details have emerged about Sean Diddy Combs, not just as a profiteer but as a selector and alleged gatekeeper in a shadowy circuit of elite gatherings. These events reportedly took place in private mansions outfitted with specialized rooms, remote-controlled surveillance systems, and guest lists encrypted with pseudonyms. Names like Donnie Elago and the Chef have served to be code names for high-powered figures in the entertainment industry. To this day, their real identities remain unconfirmed and unprosecuted. The comparisons are becoming impossible to ignore. Many are now drawing chilling parallels between Diddy and two other disgraced power brokers, Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, that have smoldered for years in the world of investigative journalism and conspiracy theory alike. Epstein, once dubbed the Dark Lord of the global elite, hosted opulent secretive parties where wealth, power, and sexual exploitation collided. Behind a velvet curtain, his operation revealed a systemic grooming network, trafficking young women to serve an untouchable clientele, politicians, CEOs, and Hollywood icons. Harvey Weinstein, meanwhile, was the face of another kind of horror. His downfall exposed how Hollywood enabled predatory behavior for decades, where vulnerable young actresses were allegedly coerced into trading their dignity for career advancement. Weinstein didn't just abuse power, he allegedly shielded and facilitated others within a darker, more elite freak-off circle. Now Diddy's name is being placed on that same mantle of disgrace. What connects them all? Fame, access, immunity. And when cracks begin to show, a hidden machine kicks into gear: cover stories, media manipulation, legal diversions, victim silencing. With Diddy's arrest, the public is beginning to ask, were Epstein and Weinstein only the visible surface of a much deeper iceberg, one composed of crime, influence, and institutional silence? Because if the stories are true, then Diddy's trial might not be the grand finale. It could be the opening act of a broader purge, or, more disturbingly, a distraction, a cleanup, a way to protect the true architects by offering up a notorious face the public already loves to hate. This raises troubling questions. Why are bigger names not being prosecuted? Why do key testimonies vanish from court records? Why have witnesses who spoke against Diddy disappeared from public view? Perhaps this isn't just about music, money, or fame anymore. Perhaps it's about billion-dollar political alliances, offshore investments, and power factions that operate beyond the reach of traditional law. The most frightening thought, not what Diddy did, but what Diddy knows, and what he's never been allowed to say. If one day he's found dead in prison from a real heart attack, then perhaps we'll realize this game was never designed for pawns to survive. Outside the Manhattan courthouse, public attention remains fixed. With each passing day, another headline explodes into the news cycle. Yet one question still hangs in the air. Can the justice system withstand the weight of the allegations against Diddy? Or will his defense team manage to rotate the narrative, rewriting history in his favor? Feel free to share your thoughts on this case in the comments, subscribe, ring the bell, and share this video to help spread awareness and keep this critical conversation alive. This trial is more than a legal battle, it's a mirror held up to the face of power, culture, and corruption. And the verdict? It won't just define Sean Combs' legacy, it may rewrite the story of Hollywood itself.